Hello students, welcome to the 18th session of Visual Programming concepts. So in this concept today, you will be learning about the procedures. Okay, the main objective of this session is to learn about the basic concepts of procedures, the different types of procedures, and how to pass parameters to the procedures. The different types of procedures available in Visual Basic are sub-procedures, function procedures, property procedures, and event procedures. So at the end of the session, the students will know how to create a procedure in a project and how to pass parameters between the project. So now let us know what is a procedure. Let's define what a procedure is. Visual Basic programs can be broken down into smaller logical components and they are called as procedures. So procedures are mainly the smaller units which are the program is divided into smaller units and each unit is called as a procedure. Why do we use procedures? What are the uses of procedure? Procedures are useful for performing repeated or shared tasks. So if you want to repeat some tasks or some things, so we can make use of the concept of procedures. Such as if you want to calculate something very frequently in the program, then you can define those calculations inside a procedure and use them. We can call a procedure from many different places in the code so that we can use procedures as building blocks of any application. The main advantages of using procedures are it reduces the duplication of code so that it decreases the code, decomposing complex programs into smaller simpler pieces. It improves the clarity of the code. So reusing of the code will be there and information hiding will be also there. So these are the few advantages of using the procedures in Visual Basic Programming. So the different types of procedures we have in VB, they are sub-procedures, function procedures, property procedures and event procedures. So let us learn each one. The first one being the sub-procedures. So sub-procedure is a special procedure that may be used by a Visual Basic to launch an application. They should be written in a module. The procedure may not be declared using the private keyword. The sub-procedure should be selected as the startup object in the project properties from the project menu. So this is how the sub-procedure looks like. Let us see an example for the main procedure. So this is the example for the sub-procedure type. You can see, you can enter the name and just display it. This is how a sub-procedure looks like, an example. A sub-procedure can also, let us see some other properties of the sub-procedures. It is also called as a subroutine that performs a specific task, as I told already, and it doesn't return a value. Sub-procedure is usually used to accept input from the user, display information, print the information, manipulate the properties, or perform some other tasks. It is a program code by itself and it is not an event procedure because it is not associated with a runtime procedure. It is called by other code whenever it is required to perform a certain task. A sub-procedure begins with the keyword sub and ends with the end sub keyword. So the sub-procedure begins with the keyword sub and ends with end sub keyword. Let's see the syntax for declaring a sub-procedure. This is how the structure of a sub-procedure looks like. It begins with the keyword sub and then followed by the name of the procedure. And inside you can pass the parameters, and inside the sub-procedure you can write the statements or whatever you want to do and end it by end sub keyword. So this is the declaration syntax for the sub-procedure. Let's see another example for sub-procedures. So here you have two text boxes where you are reading two values, okay, and adding them. So this is the code. The name of the sub-procedure here is command cal _click. This is the name that you have given for the sub-procedure. Okay, and this is the output. This is the code, and this is how the after running the sub procedure, this is how the output looks like. In the text box, you will be reading the two inputs, that is the first number and the second number. On the command button calculate, when you click it in sub procedure 2, the sum comes as 350. So this is another example where you are finding the simple interest similar to the previous example. You are reading here three inputs, that is P, T and R. Okay, so you can just try this example code. Now let's see another type of procedure that's called as a function procedure. Let's see how this function procedure differs or is different from the sub procedures. A function procedure is a series of Visual Basic statements enclosed by the function. It starts with a keyword function and ends with end function statement, just like how the sub procedure was beginning with the sub keyword and ending with the end sub. So the sub function procedure begins with the keyword function and ends with the keyword end function. The function procedure performs a task and then returns control to the calling code. When it returns control, it also returns a value to the calling code. A function procedure can take arguments such as constants, variables or expressions which are passed to it by the calling code. Let's see the declaration of the function procedure. So the declaration almost looks similar to the sub procedure type. Instead of sub keyword here, the keyword is function followed by the function name, and you have to give the parameter list of parameters the function takes, and you have to also mention the return type of the function here, and the function ends with the end function keyword. So here you need to specifically mention the return type of the function. Example here is an example to find the grade. Okay, you can just see the code and try. The function name being given here is the name of the function is grade. Okay, and it returns a string type. The return type of this function is string. So wherein you are just calculating the grade of the student. You can just try this code and check the output of it. Then now let's see the next type of another type of procedure called as a property procedure. A property procedure is used to create and manipulate the custom procedures. Okay, it is used to create read-only properties for forms, standard modules and class modules. In Visual Basic, we have three types of property procedures. One is the property let procedure that sets the value of a property. The second one is the property get procedure that returns the value of a property. Property set procedure that sets the reference to an object. Okay, let's see more about this property procedures. We can use property procedures to implement control properties by setting up the following elements for each custom property. A variable that is private to the user control and that will serve as a storage place for the property's actual value. Property get and property let are set will respectively retrieve and store the value. A property let or property set procedure that acts like a sub procedure and accepts a parameter whose value is the new value to be assigned to the property. You will store this parameter's value in the private storage variable. Okay, a property get procedure that acts like a function procedure and returns the value kept in the private storage variable. Let's see what an event procedure is. An event procedure is a procedure block that contains the control's actual name, an underscore, and the event name. This is the syntax of an event procedure for a form load event. So you have a form load event. Okay, it begins with the keyword private sub. Okay, the name of the thing event procedure is form load. Event procedures acquires the declarations as private by default. So by default, the event procedures will take the access specifier as private type. Let's see how to create a procedure. These are the general steps to create a procedure. The code window is opened for the module to which the procedure is to be added. The add procedure option is chosen from the tools menu, which opens an add procedure dialog box as shown in the figure. The name of the procedure is typed in the toolbox, name text box. Under type, sub is selected to create a sub procedure, function to create a function procedure, or property to create a property procedure. So whichever the type you want, you can just choose. Under scope, you can choose either the public or the private access. Okay, so this is how the creating procedure form looks like. You can choose whatever the type. You can either choose a sub, function, event, or property, and the scope you can choose either as private or the public. And click on the OK button to create the procedure. So after all this, let us see how to pass the parameters. What are the different types of passing parameters to the procedures? There are two ways of passing parameters to the procedure. One is the call by value method, and the other one is by call by reference method. Call by value method, when we pass arguments by value, the function works only with the copies of the values. So it just takes the copies of the values, whereas in case of call by reference method, the function receives a reference. So here the meaning of reference is it takes the memory address to the actual value. It doesn't take a copy of it. Instead, it takes the memory address of the variable. Let's see how to pass an argument by value method. These are the steps. When calling a procedure that takes an argument, we were supplying a value for that argument. Okay, the value is actually passed, not the memory. When this is done, the procedure that is called makes a copy of the value of the argument and makes that copy available to the calling procedure. That way, the argument itself is not accessed. This is referred to as passing an argument by value. This can be reinforced by typing the keyword byval keyword. So by using the byval keyword, you can just say that the parameter is argument is passed by value method. Okay, so this is an example what you are seeing. So here you are passing an the name of the parameter is str language, and this is passed by mentioning the keyword byval inside the bracket, and it's which is a string type. Okay, so now let's see an example for passing an argument by value method. So this is the example. You can try this code in the application, Windows application, Visual Basic application. So by you're just saying here, you're using byval keyword in the welcome procedure. So this is how the output looks like. Let's see another method of passing an argument. Okay, this is by reference method. This is the second type of passing an argument. In call by reference method, passing an argument by passing the address of the argument. So here you are not passing the copy, instead you are passing the address of the argument to the procedure. When this is done, the procedure does not receive a simple copy of the value of the argument. The argument is accessed by its address, that is at its memory address. With this technique, any action carried on the argument will be kept. If the value of the argument is modified, the argument would now have the new value, thus missing or losing the original value it had. So whatever the original value it had, it will be overwritten by the new value. This technique is referred to as passing the argument by reference method. So this is the example. So instead of byval here, you have to use byref to declare a variable as a reference method. Okay, so when you pass these two numbers, value 1 and value 2, using the input box, the two numbers you are just passing by reference method, the original values will not remain the same, it will be overwritten. So this is the example. You can just try this part of the code yourself. So this is so in this session, you all have learned what a procedure is, what are the types of procedures, how to create a procedure, and also you learned what are the two methods of passing the arguments, that is call by value method and call by reference method. Please try these example codes and let's answer some questions based on the concepts what you all learned. First question is, variables declared inside a procedure are said to have local scope, procedure level scope, class level scope, none of the above. So please try to answer yourself, students. The second question is, Dash do not return value. The options are subprocedure, function procedure, property procedure, all of the above. The third question is, the declaration statement for a class level variable should be placed. The options are inside an event procedure, inside a general procedure, anywhere in the program region, above the statement public class form name. The function procedures are dash by default, public, private, protected, none of the above. The fifth question is, a dash variable is one that is declared inside a procedure. A global, local, external, none of the above. So, thank you.